Okay, well, I'm hoping you can see how this is broadening the work camping. I mean, we've gone from working in an RV park, national parks, state parks, then we get into corporate RV repair, certified RV mechanics, travel centers, now your utility work. Once again, it broadens. There's so many different layers. Always remember location, location, location. How long you want to be there for, and what style of work you really want to do. And you'll figure it out. Trust me. It comes in time. But here's another good angle right here. Another good way to look for work, temporary job agencies. A good friend of mine's done this for over 15 years, and he has no problem getting work. Any town, anywhere he goes, he's associated with a few of the different temp agencies. A lot of them are nationwide, but temporary employment, it's seasonal. I mean, it's more perfect for RVers than anything because most of these companies only need a person for a day, week, month, whatever. Normally, it's not involving the campground, but he does extremely well at this, very well. Here's okay, right here is probably the perfect place to introduce you to James. Very, very good friend of mine. This guy's been work camping all over the country for a lot of years. He has experience in, oh my goodness, anything from sugar beet harvest to um, tree farms, Christmas tree farms, you name it. This guy's done it. Anyway, here's James.
So, first of all, when I got started, the first thing I ever did was the sugar beet harvest. All right. I didn't have a very good experience doing the sugar beet harvest. I heard it's a lot better nowadays than it was when I did it. And the reason why it's a lot better nowadays is just because they got some new equipment. You used to have to shovel all the beets that got spilled out of the truck back up into the pickup deal on it. And I got a video showing what that equipment looks like. Also, you can go online and find tons of videos about beet piling, right? What I would suggest, the only way I would ever do the beet harvest is if I was already up in that part of the country and it just kind of fit. Or maybe if I was a bobcat operator, or I could get on as a foreman. I wouldn't help in any other way up there. If you're on the bobcat or a foreman, you get more days. So there's really only 12 days of work when you do those, actual days of work. But it can extend out as long as 6 weeks up there. And the weather's not that great most of the time because it's North Dakota and Minnesota in October.
Yeah, I bet. Huh?
So it could get pretty cold at night.
Oh man.
You better at least have a 3 season RV or you're gonna have a mess. So it's not a real big one on my list, but a couple can make, you know, 5 to 6 grand in 12 days of work, which is not bad. That's your diesel fuel or your gas, right? Almost for the year.
That'll pay for some
Travel.
travel. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's helpful, but you'll also eat up a lot of that getting up there if you're trying to
Yeah.
go from Florida, which is what I did,
Yeah.
don't move. I took a GMC motorhome, the old 1970s style, and drove from Orlando, Florida, all the way up to it was Dayton, North Dakota, to do this sugar beet harvest. Right? I didn't make much money on it. Let's just put it that way. With only 12 days of work, after the trip, I would suggest to at least do Amazon one time. Okay. And the reason why I say that is there's so many people that do Amazon. Okay. We're talking about hundreds. And you only work at first, you only work 4 days a week. Okay. And there's lots of RV parks around. You get to meet a lot of these people. And just like anything else, when you're trying to find a job, networking is the best way to get the good gigs, right?
Yes.
Works the same way when you're work camping. There were work camp jobs I have never seen advertised anywhere that I got to hook up while I was at the Amazon from. Okay. So yeah, Amazon is a lot of walking. You're going to be tired unless you get lucky and you're a stower. It's not too bad stowing, but you really only have three things that you're going to do. You're either going to pack stuff in a box, you're going to go pick it off the shelves, or you're going to put it on the shelves. Putting it on the shelves is the easiest job. So if you can land that, it's really easy. You're going to get a big cart of stuff. You go into an aisle, you just literally stick it in bins, right? And you're scanning stuff, right? And as long as you're good about scanning stuff, you're not going to have it. It's not hard. The picking, you're going to put on 15 miles a shift. So it's some serious walking because you're all over it. Unless you're in Texas, where they have the robots bring you the shelves and you just pull it off the shelves, but you're still standing for like 10 hours.
How many times did you do that, James? Or
I did it
Amazon.
twice.
And what? How did they treat you and the camp? You know, did they pay part of your campground?
They pay for your campsite.
Okay.
Now I think they do like up to $600 of it, right? When I did it, they just paid for the campsite. You didn't have to deal with anything. You didn't set anything up. There, all you had to do is show up. But now I guess they give you the $600 and you have to find your campground, right? Um, so unless you're in Campbellsville, Kentucky, I guess Campbellsville, Kentucky is the only spot it's the same, and
Yeah.
that's in the middle of nowhere.
And in the
But
winter
there,
time, yeah.
yeah, in the wintertime. But there
Yeah.
is a real pretty state park over there, right next to the Amazon. It's about 5 miles from the Amazon. That's one of the RV parks that they place you in when you're doing Campbellsville. And if you get there early enough, it's nice and warm. You can start there as early as late August. So you could be at the campground enjoying that for a month or two before it gets cold. So it is nice that way. I would suggest at least doing Amazon one time so you get the network. Now, my favorite work camping gig I ever did was managing a pumpkin patch and a Christmas tree lot. All right. It was all in one. Like it was 10 weeks. Each season was 10 weeks. We had, well, I mean, 5 weeks and 5 weeks. So it was a total of 10 weeks, right? I would not have ever known about that job if it hadn't been about for Amazon. Um, I had heard it advertised about doing the fireworks stands, but I didn't know the good ones. There's good companies to work for, and there's bad companies to work for in that. If it hadn't been for doing Amazon, I would have never known about the good fireworks companies to work for. So the pumpkin patch and Christmas tree lot as a couple, it's a couple gig. Brand new, you get $1,000 a week salary. Then you get a commission on sales and bonuses. So the company that I work for doing it, their slowest lot for that 10-week period, you made about, as a couple, you made about $1,500 a week, 15 to 1,800 a week. That was the slowest lot. The busiest lot in the group, just the 5-week pumpkin patch manager, bonus and commission check was 30 grand.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, obviously, that couple's probably not going to take off from that gig
Yeah.
anytime soon. You know what I mean? But that was Rancho Cucamonga, rich area.
Yeah.
They, so you could work yourself up where in a 10-week period, you're making 40 grand.
You could travel the rest of the year on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite. That was Seasonal Adventures. That's my favorite work camping gig. I really enjoyed running the pumpkin patch. The Christmas tree lot was fun too. I just had more fun with the pumpkin patch because I love seeing kids have a good time. you know, so that was my favorite. The fireworks stand of work camping jobs, I made the best money at that one. There was this again $1,000 a week salary for a couple. One of you had to be there all the time, right? You couldn't both leave for the period of time, and we made about 3 grand a week.
Now, is that all through the networking through Amazon?
Yeah, I got all that through networking while I was working at Amazon. I also found out about See's Candy. At Christmas time, you have all these stands in all the malls all over the country. Okay. And there's people that work in the stand, and then there's the managers of the stand. You're gonna make about $15 an hour at least doing See's Candy. At the manager level, it's 1,500 a week for the couple plus commission.
Wow.
So I learned about that from people I worked with at Amazon. There's another work camping gig that I did for 3 months, and it's usually a longer term one that you have to do. You could do it for a year if you wanted to. Okay. And that I found from networking at Amazon is the Thousand Trails parks. They have a sales manager guy at every park. That job is a work camping job. You get your RV space and a small salary, more of a stipend and commission. I
Wow.
know people that were making 6 grand a month doing it.
No kidding. And plus you can stay at their
Yep.
parks.
Yep.
Now, how'd you find out about that?
Amazon networking.
Amazon.
Yeah, so basically there's this cat that I networked with, and we talked, exchanged information at Amazon, and he called me up one day randomly, and he told me, yeah, there's this opening at Leavenworth, the park in Leavenworth, Washington, which is a beautiful place to stay, right? I mean, that's backed up right against the Cascades, looks like the Swiss Alps, you know. So I wasn't a super duck salesman, but I still made 3 grand a month
Wow.
total, and my RV space. I only did
Wow.
it for 3 months. They usually want a longer commitment, usually want 6 months to a year commitment doing that one. But it's just kind of up to you. And like I said, I know guys that were making 6 grand a month doing it. I
Wow.
didn't work that hard.
Yeah.
But you can if you want, right?
Well, and it pays for your travel. I mean, you
Yeah.
bring in that kind of change for 2, 3 months, you're good for the rest of the year, at least in fuel. I
Yeah.
mean, so it'll pay.
Yeah. A lot of people made fun of me. The other thing that I ended up doing really well with that helped me get to a point where no matter where I went, I could drop down if there was a town nearby where there was at least 50,000 people anywhere in the United States, I could find work in 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Never been there before in my life. Didn't know anybody. I can drop down. So there's a company called People Ready. There's People Ready skilled trades, and there's People Ready that's more like day labor, right? I fumbled into this. Okay, so when I first went out on the road, like I was saying, I spent 8 years on the road working. That's how I funded my lifestyle. I made a little bit of money from YouTube, but I never really crushed it doing YouTube. All right. And I went and I started doing day labor at People Ready. Well, they at the time they called it Labor Ready at the time. And there were some mergers, and now it's People Ready, and it's a lot better set up, and it's nationwide now. But everybody was making fun of me about doing day labor, right? Well, I worked myself butt off doing day labor, and I got to a point where they started drug testing me and putting me on their higher end jobs, right? That were longer. So the first decent one was flagging. They paid for me to get a flagging certification. So I flagged for the railroad through them. You know, I did a bunch of crappy day labor stuff before that, you know, construction cleanup, dishwashing, did a bunch of crappy just day stuff, and then started going up the chain. And then that was the first, so they got me my flagging certification, which then turned into where I got the pilot car certification. Okay. And so I was making $18 to $22 an hour with overtime in the summers in South Dakota area. They're always doing free work out there. They always need people around Rapid City. They always need people around Jackson Hole. And if you're familiar with these areas, guys, these are some of the most beautiful areas. We're talking about the Black Hills. We're talking about just outside of Yellowstone. And they just don't have the bodies, you know, they don't have the bodies for it.
Plus, you're RVing at the same time. I mean, you're staying in your van or RV while you're doing this.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and there's a lot of free campsites in those areas, right? If you get good about finding them online. So I was making $18 to $22 an hour, and I didn't have any housing expense.
Yeah.
Or camp rent or anything.
Smart.
Yeah. And so there's this company, I grew to what they called me a tier 1 associate, and I went into skilled trades. So I started getting on, that's how I learned how to install solar. So my first skilled trades job was in Fresno, California. It was a logistics warehouse where they were doing a 720 volt solar system with 30,000 watt inverters. And that's how I got to learn solar, which was absolutely great. And so if I was new to it right now, I wasn't even ready to leave home yet. Okay. I'm getting ready. I would go hook up with People Ready, Express Professional Services, right?
Express.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Express and People Ready will give you access to jobs over the whole country.
In towns with 50,000 or less, right?
50,000 or more.
More, excuse me. Yeah.
But sometimes even less than that. But what I can tell you for sure is if you got a town with 50,000 people and you're signed up with Express and People Ready, you're going to be able to find work.
And you said you could even pre-look at the work before you even show up to the town, right?
Once you're a tier 1 associate, hundreds of jobs come on an app.
So what's your biggest recommendation to a brand new person that's going to start out work camping? And say, like, we're talking about the guy that needs the money to be out on the road, you know, a younger couple, younger people, they got to make a buck, you know, they got to eat.
Are they on the road yet?
Getting ready.
They getting ready to leave.
They just built their van. They're watching all the YouTube. They're getting ready to jump on the road and just go. What's your biggest recommendation? No, I know number one be Amazon, but what else should they look out for out there? Because there's a lot of bad work.
Okay. The biggest thing, I'm not a big fan on the campgrounds.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks we're camping and they think the campgrounds. Most of the campgrounds are taking advantage of people. You know, once in a while you get a good one, but most of them are taking advantage. I would, it depends on somebody's skill set. If you're an electrician, a finished carpenter, a welder, these kinds of things, I would actually use Google AdWords, and I would set up myself at online through Google, okay, so that you can go and find your own work and make that 50, $75 an hour type stuff. Let's say you don't have those kind of trades and you're just a general laborer, whatever, right? I would get on with People Ready and Express Personnel and try to do evening stuff and the weekend stuff while you're working your other job and saving it so you can have some savings, right, when you hit the road. But at the same time, you're building a reputation with these companies, okay? And the cool thing, especially with People Ready, you do 3 jobs for them, they'll put you on the app. It's a job stack app, and it'll give a list of the jobs that they have available in that area. And you just pick them. Just find the job that fits your time, go to it, do a good job. You get rated through the app by the company. And then pretty soon they'll offer you like a what's called a top tier job. And that's where I ended up. What I think was the neatest thing I did was I started doing what's called, you have to, and People Ready paid for me to get the certifications. So I was doing what's called Fire Watch and Hole Watch, okay, in industrial areas. And first one was at the Tacoma Mill, and it was through People Ready. While I was there, I'm always networking, okay, when it comes to jobs and being on the road. That's one of the biggest reasons, I'll be really honest, it's one of the biggest reasons why I got to where I could show up anywhere I wanted and have work, right? Is because I networked a lot. And when I was doing this gig for People Ready at the Tacoma Mill, I happened to be on a crew, whole watch for a crew that was from a company called Trico Mechanical. Okay. They hired me for their next job. Okay. All right. And so there's a rotation of like paper mills, industrial laboratories, and nuclear power facilities. They have to shut down to do maintenance on a lot of their equipment. They have to shut the whole mills down, the whole power plant down, right? And then in a few days, they go in and they do all the maintenance that they need to do on these facilities. And a lot of this maintenance, they have to weld or grind or cut, okay? Or they have to get inside, especially like at nuke facilities and at paper mills, they have to get inside what's called a confined space. So these are spaces that aren't designed for people to be in it, other than that they have a hatch because they got to have maintenance done to them. And so your job is to watch people work and take down recordings, okay, of the gas readings in the space these people are working. And you might have to put a small fire out once in a while, right? And at least notify everybody to get out of the hole, or the space if there is a fire, right? So you're literally paid to watch people work.
Love it. I love it.
So
That's cool. One thing we didn't touch, I know you did, was the gate guard down at the oil wells.
So gate guarding used to be a lot better deal. It is pretty easy. Okay. You do need to get a Texas security license, but you can do it online. Okay. And you need to get an H2S certification. So, which is just safety education. You can do that online. All right. It used to be a couple would get $300 a day. You'd stay on the site near the gate in your RV, okay, or a shack. Some of them had a shack. So there was 2 different types, and it depended on the company. Some of the bigger oil and gas companies don't want an RV on their sites, for just because of liability. So they pay for an RV space, but it's pretty easy. You'll have like iPad, and you'll record. It might be a written log, but most of them have iPads now. And you'll take down the plates and the name and the company of the people that are going in and out of the thing, and you'll tell people that aren't authorized, no, they can't come. Like some of the company men don't want to talk to the salespeople. You can probably understand why,
Yeah.
right? So you get to run the salespeople off, But other than that, it's checking people in and out.
Okay. Well, thank you, James. I mean, we've covered a lot. I mean, a whole bunch here. Um, Anything you want to say at the end here? Any
Um,
ideas, suggestions? I guess Amazon's the biggest, huh? Start
yeah,
your
Amazon's
networking.
just where you're going to set up your network. Do Amazon. Don't do it in the sense, oh, I'm going to get rich or this is going to be my favorite camp. Although my experience was pretty good. When you have that many like-minded RV travelers, you make a lot of friends when you have weekends off and you all stay in the same campgrounds and stuff like that. I mean, we had Amazon Christmas parties, Amazon work camper Christmas parties stuff that we did, together. There was like dozens of us sometimes, all out
What's
there camping, campfire,
Yeah.
having potlucking it up.
Is there a contract time on those jobs? Are they usually what, 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, yeah. When you start, they want you to work through when they let you go around Christmas time. It's usually the day before Christmas Eve.
Here's the two websites that James is talking about. People Ready, right here, peopleready.com. Find people ready jobs. That's incredible. You start out on a lower level, and he had a great idea. Before you even start work camping, take a few of these jobs while you're still at your home base before you start hitting the road. Already get established. They're in nationwide, pretty much. And even though it's a town of 50,000 people, you might not even have to be within that town. So, once again, that's really good information. The other one was Express Employment Professionals. This is the other one that he used. Excellent, excellent information. Isn't James cool? What experience. That was done on Zoom. It was the best, one of the best quality, but I hope you could hear it good. But what was his main point? Networking through Amazon. And that's true with anywhere you're going to be work camping. Get to know the people, figure out where they like to work. It might fit what you want to do. Once again, location, type of job. But James is adamant. Right now, he's up to a 6-figure year salary working up in Washington State. And that's all the temporary work, all the jobs, all the training led to that. So good for him. He's a good friend. Also, check out his YouTube channel, Wanderlust Estate. He has other work camping videos on there. So, okay, moving on.